Good morning and good afternoon, LinkedIn friends. Welcome to another episode of Let's Build a HubSpot Super Admin with Lucy. How are you doing, Lucy?
Hi, Chris. All good, all good. Excited about our conversation today.
Yes, it is inbound recap season. So we will not pass up that opportunity. And really good conversation happening right now, just about everywhere. Thanks to the 200 updates, the over 200 updates dropped at inbound, and the AI focus, as we may have mentioned a few times this year. This is what AI first looks like. And our goal today is to help you kind of translate that into, how you might move forward as an admin. This is our first time chatting after inbound. Curious your thoughts and kind of what you're hearing around you.
Yeah, so the first thing that I can tell, I personally tell, but I think clients are starting to notice is that the tool itself is becoming more strategic because I see this more and more easy to implement. I mean, HubSpot is super intuitive and everything you can do it by yourself. But what we always, I think we always discuss with you, and I always discuss with our clients is it's not as important on how you do it in the tool, in the CRM, as much as why are you doing what you do. So I think for an admin, this is this is more its own sauce because anyone can implement. But I think the most important part from now on is going to be okay, what is my goal? How am I going to try to solve this now with AI or with the new tools that we have in HubSpot? And what am I going to measure? So implementing that is becoming faster because the product team has done a great job. So we have a lot of prompts, we have a lot of nice, cool interface screens. But I think we always come up to the strategy, right? You need to understand why are you doing this, because if not, you cannot build a correct prompt. You cannot build a correct strategy. We have Marketing Studio, but what are you going to build in Marketing Studio if you don't have the campaign strategy first? So that is the first thing that I'm noticing about most of the things that we now have that are surfacing much more the need of strategy, the need of thinking first instead of just doing, right?
Yeah.
And for example, we do have now the Bridge Studio with a lot of agents. Customizing an agent is super easy. You have a couple of windows with directions of what you need to complete, but the difference between putting one sentence in a prompt and building a 8,000 words prompt is going to change so much the result of that agent. So
Yeah.
coming back to one of your comments is of one of the keys today is how do we start building this process of AI? The other day, last week, I published an article in a blog that is the AI adoption ladder. So there's a lot of people right now that are having all these new cool features in HubSpot, but they seem so far away and they don't know where to start. So the first thing is, I think, identify your use cases, identify your problems or your goals and your challenges, and then start thinking how much this is of value for the company, and then the ability of doing that with AI. Because again, something that we have discussed in the past with you, Chris, I think is not because the AI can't do it means we need to do it with AI. Because now most AI features are going to consume credits. There's still a lot of features that are in beta mode that are not consuming credits, but we have all noticed, and actually Inbound left it pretty clear that we are arriving at um, the use-based product with HubSpot. So in the future, everything will consume credits. We're going to go into a a credit-based program, whether you will pay only for the credits that you use, I think. So if we're thinking that everything that we do now is going to thank you, thank you. We're gonna go back to that now if you want. But if you think that everything that we do now is gonna have a cost, even though in credits and of course in time configuring things, is that worth it? Is the question. So
Yeah.
if we want to go to that, I think it's super funny because people don't realize that right now is not an option to adopt AI.
Right.
Either
And
you do it.
here's, and if I could just take a moment as well, like it's not an option because it's truly, you know, even outside of HubSpot, Nico and I talk about this all the time. It's a new layer of infrastructure that
Yes,
is being applied to civilization, right?
exactly. It's a
So,
new reality.
yeah,
Yes.
just like the internet, most people don't say internet and like, oh, I'm going to go use the internet today, right? That got built in, and like it's a layer. That was something that I didn't quite realize until inbound, is how it's like Breeze Assistant. Breeze is an intelligence layer now. So it's learning everywhere. It's not in silos like it used to be in all these separate tools, and you didn't know why that this tool understood something and this tool didn't. Like it's now like built-in layer, right? That just allows for, and I just wanted to pull this up real quick because Nico and I are working on repurposing some content that we did over the weekend where I said, hey man, we got to show people what's available. And while we're on a call, while we're on a live show, I'm just nonchalantly, cloning agents, publishing them, and then doing things like with them. So like case study, close loss deal insights, manufacturing account handoff, drafting a series about AI agent orchestration, right? Planned social marketing dashboard. And I want like the takeaway for me is like all of the different, like the diversity of the output here, right? Here's a table, like here's a plan, eh, right? And like the challenge now, and why I'm like, I appreciate the prompt library, but when you come here, like what's next? Like, how do you actually make this work? I love the way that um, Dylan Selberg said it on Partner Day. It takes about 3 minutes, like to set up an agent and activate it. It takes like 3 weeks to get it actually working well. And that's 3 weeks of continuous, trial and error and making sure the context is right. And so again, in true HubSpot fashion, very easy to get started. But if you don't take a step back and understand the strategy that you're trying to accomplish, like you're not gonna be impressed. You will be super impressed, like maybe 5 or 10% of the time when it just gets it right, just because it can. But then the very next time, you will be really disappointed because it just got lucky like the time before, and now you're frustrated. And we want to avoid that because it's not the AI not working, it is the business context not being in the right place. It's the usage patterns, like all this stuff is starting to build in. So I just wanted to share that it's all around all your users now, right?
Yeah,
That's
but
why
I
you
think
can't
that
avoid it.
where we are going to arrive in the near future, in the next couple of months, is to a lot of clients that have play around with agents, didn't get the results they wanted. They got frustrated. They say, oh no, this is BS. This doesn't work. This is no good. But again, if you are in the first step, that is AI unaware, pretending to be on top as AI native, managing all agents, getting the best results, getting them to work for you, having your CRM 100% automated, that is delusional. You cannot go from AI unaware to AI native in 1 week. Yeah, it takes 5 seconds, it takes 5 minutes, to customize or to set up an agent, but once you know what you're doing. If you
Right.
have never built a prompt and if you're still playing around, talk to ChatGPT to ask for, I don't know, where should I go to eat tonight? That's not the same thing.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying that a strategy comes first. And this is a great time to re-put in value all of those roles, all of those people with the strategical thinking, because it doesn't matter if you don't understand technology. It doesn't matter yet if you don't know how to do it in HubSpot, because the first step is thinking the strategy, thinking what are we going to do? Why are we doing it? Of course, we will arrive at the point of how are we going to implement this in HubSpot, but as always, there's not only one way. Some people will want to do, I don't know, the prospecting agent. Some people want to use the customer agent. Some people want to use the integration with ChatGPT or with Claude. I don't know. There's going to be different ways of implementing a solution. It's not going to be easier for implementators to know that, because we are all going through a new path here. That is something. If someone promises you that they are the people that they know the best about automation and AI and building things, that's BS. That's not true, because we're all learning here. Of course, there could be some of us that have more experience, that we have already been doing this with client testing, but nothing is certain now. Anything can work, anything can go wrong. So as you said, it's a new human condition now. AI is a new reality. So the faster you start, the faster you're going to fit in this new reality. And even your business, because your business doesn't run only on your business, it runs on people, on consumers, on clients. Your clients are already living this new reality. So the first thing that I want to say to people is, don't think that your business or your industry is not AI material.
Right.
No,
Doesn't
that's
matter how
not
much
true.
regulation there is, how much paper process there is, like it's coming. It's here, actually. Sorry, it's here. Right.
Yeah, and even governments now are going to digital credentials, digital passports. So it's coming. Some will arrive a little bit later, but you need to start. Are you going to be the last in your industry to be doing this? You're
Yeah.
going to be losing so much money.
Right.
So,
There's a
on the other
country,
hand,
actually, since you bring up government, I just heard about a country, forget which one, um, that implemented an AI like overseer to try and start reducing corruption in government. That
yeah,
is it like,
Estonia, I think.
okay.
They have now, as a minister, as a human resources and contract manager, it's an AI.
Yeah. And that's where, like, I know that's probably feels far away from what we're talking about, but the point is, it is ubiquitous, right? Like, it's, and when, that kind of stuff happens, your users and your leaders are, when they're exposed to it constantly in their personal lives, in their day, like every hour of the day, that starts to have an impact for, even if there are, firmly against or think that it's not going to apply to their business. Like we've seen a lot of times in, HubSpot use case world, right? It, but like HubSpot, it only takes that one thing where it's like, oh, okay, that's the kind of value we could get. Yeah, like all in, obviously. And sometimes it's like, oh, the right leader at the right time, who's a buddy, said they're doing it and it's working. So I got, yeah, let's try it in our organization, right? So all that stuff is happening all around you, which is why Lucy's saying what she's saying. Like it's here for everybody. And personally, I'm thankful that HubSpot has moved as fast as they have to put us. It's hard to think about another software right now that has put us in a better position to leverage what's happening right now. So I know it's put a lot of people, everybody's overwhelmed by the speed and the number of updates, but it's kind of like, to get agents and assistants to work well, they needed to they needed to prepare the platform in an AI first kind of way. And I think they've done a really good job. Now we all know that there's a huge enablement gap to cover, but
Mhm.
that's why we're here, doing shows like this. So
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing for super admins to know what this means for this new, not career change, but focus maybe. Because right now I think it's going to be more strategical than before and more thinking about, okay, so what does this mean for us as a company to have these discussions about, okay, this is a process that we currently have in the CRM or not, maybe, okay. What part of this process are we gonna get so much more value if we have the ability to put AI in charge of this part? It doesn't mean that the whole process has to be AI. Maybe it's just 20%, maybe it's just 50%. Okay, whatever works for you. Again, you don't plan, if you are AI unaware, don't plan to be on the top of the ladder in 2 minutes because that's not going to happen. But I think that is the first step. And for the super admin, the first scenario they need to understand is understand how credits work. And I think this is going to be one of the first chapters
good
next
luck.
week that we start a new super admins bootcamp. We need to make admins understand what credits means, how they work, what are the tools available now that are using credits, but this will become the whole reality, I
Yeah.
believe, next year.
And I
And the
was gonna
second,
ask that. Like, I think probably a good maybe exercise is, how are your slides changing for the admin boot camp?
oh,
Which ones are I'm curious which ones are staying, right? And which ones are just, you know,
well, at least for the first week, a lot of the things are staying because we are still talking about objects, we are still talking about the importance of the data model, properties. And again, let's not forget that the CRM, this core part about information, that is still the most important part, because you can even have a, an agent that is going to clean up your database, complete information missing. Okay, in some cases, yes, we have enrichment, but some other things are still not going to be accurate. AI agents still can miss. For example, the other day we are doing a work with a client that we are using enrichment or credits, smart property actually, to change the old way how they used to categorize industry to a new way. So we are telling the prompt, okay, take all of the values here, but let's just try at your own criteria to categorize it in these new 5 options. Aviation. Is it transport? Is it services?
mm,
Is it others? What is it? Okay, AI can interpret whatever it wants. If you're okay with that, fantastic. But if it's not, if it's doing it wrong, how would you know? So,
man, I want to see that smart property prompt because that one property industry, oh
yes.
man, causes so many problems.
But if industry is important for you
Right.
to classify for scoring, for segmenting, for campaigns, for your context, your content, for your landing pages, if it's that important, could you risk it for AI to do it wrong? Is the question.
Right. Because it's
You
working
could
off the
say
same for the same reasons it's been challenging for everybody. It's been
yes,
trained by that knowledge set, right? And the real issue is that we've got the way your business says the thing, which is like, target market or segment, and we just decide to give it our own label because that's how we like to talk about it in the business. Then we have the way that places like LinkedIn and data sources classify it.
yes.
Uh, then we have the way that like tax systems and governments, classify things. And then the challenging part is that then we have the way that customers like describe their own industry, right? So there's there's a path now that hasn't been there before through things like smart property. But again, you have to take a step back and know those four elements, because you want the data from LinkedIn, you want to bring it all in. But if your internal people get confused and your external customers have no idea which industry you're talking about because they don't call it that, like all of that work in the middle to like forecast and do all the things that Lucy mentioned is for naught, because people are getting confused. They're selecting the wrong option. They're not identifying with the content that you're trying to personalize for them. So this is like one of those long-standing use cases that it's gonna be so powerful when and if we solve for it. So I get
But
excited about that property.
let's just imagine that even if you don't solve it and you're taking a chance and you're saying, okay, let's just go for it, whatever it happens, we can recalculate, recategorize in the future, because we're talking about 500,000 records. Okay. If it's 2000, I would say, okay, let's just run it and then you review it so that we can make sure. Or let's just run a batch and test it, and then we can do some of them manually so that then we can polish the prompt. But when you're talking about 500,000, it's either you delete everything or it's either you trust the AI. Okay, let's just
Yeah.
hope for the best.
Please don't use those credits. That turns into like 5 million credits used, 10, 10
Yes,
per 10 per smart property run. Um, but
yes.
and
And
that's
again,
I
and again, what's the cost of having that information complete when you don't have it and you need it for everything that your teams do? Marketing, growth, sales. What are you going to do? Are you not going to complete that? Are you going
right.
to complete that?
Well, I think in one of my favorite parts about the boot camps is you start to see how everybody is tackling these challenges as the shares in Slack, and that they everybody's sharing maps and processes, because like what comes to mind in what we're already doing at Profoundly in some places is like you can use the very easy to set up and navigate tools in HubSpot. So let's say, all right, anything new coming in will apply. We're not going to worry about all the archive records. And then when AI starts to get it right, now you develop like, all right, I'm going to take out the whole data set, take it over to Google, take it over to the AI that I'm paying for over here, which is not based on credits like it is in HubSpot, and finish the data set. Like the innovation that will show up around like using credits only when needed, right?
Yes.
I think is going to be super interesting to watch.
Yeah, what I want to avoid is people doing manual exports, working manually, because again, if you're using AI to do something that then you will have to export, do it manually outside, so we are missing the point. So I think that is the second or the third level in my ladder, when you think that you're using AI for some parts, but you're
Mm,
using it wrong, or you're not thinking it as a whole process,
yeah.
right?
False sense of security.
Yes, because you're working for the AI and you're discussing and you're saying, okay, no, now correct this, okay, and now correct that, and you're still using the free tools that doesn't record any of the conversations that you have, so they don't learn about you. So there's a lot of misconceptions also about what AI means that we're not going to cover now, but
Yeah.
I think that there is a ladder. The idea is not to miss steps, just for customers to help navigate them faster and with less pain, let's say, pain in all the meanings of pain: monetary, time, teams, frustration, all the meanings of pain.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think if people are able to reach at least level 3 in the next 12 months, I think that's a good place. Of course, they will still need to keep going, because they will need to arrive until level 4 at least, or level 5 ideally, when you're super AI native, everything is integrated with everything. And again, that doesn't mean that there is no human touch.
Yeah. I love
That
this
doesn't mean that.
this bullet here. AI integrated in all decisions. It does not say AI making all decisions,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And that's where, like, if it helps, because it sometimes helps me to think about the end, right, and then work back to understand what change needs to look like, and think about what that means for your role as like the HubSpot leader of the organization. If AI is integrated in all decisions, right? Where are the decisions coming from? Probably reporting and dashboards, right? How is AI supporting that, right? And even the mechanism right now, which I'm very curious how you guys present this in the boot camp, like instead of being the person to build the report whenever the CEO wants it, creating this space. And this is where Emerson McEwen has shown me some really cool stuff where he just brings stuff in, like integrated with Slack, right where the leader already is, and now the questions go to the AI instead of to Emerson. And that's because the leader, first of all, the leader understands this report that's coming into Slack in a way that he hasn't been able to before. And now it's where he's already working, right? And this is the concept of HubSpot everywhere, right? Where he can engage. So can we create scenarios where you're not building the report anymore? You're building the infrastructure for reporting, and everybody has access to ask Breeze about the outputs and have a conversation with the data, right?
And the criterias, because the data is data. It doesn't talk to you in a way that it doesn't give you context. But when you have the context, and that's some of the things that in the assistant we can also train it to understand and people to ask there, that is going to give much more value, right?
Yeah.
And now we have, let's just forget about agents for a while, but we have a lot more workspaces with AI making suggestions. There's actually one, let me just check the name because I don't remember it by heart. A new space that is called,
It's
give me
either a
one second.
studio or an overview, I'm guessing.
The cleanup, no, the
Oh,
clean
account
the
cleanup,
account cleanup, I think
right?
is the name.
In the
Yeah.
admin. Yeah.
For the admin's point of view, there's a lot of things highlighted there, and also there are new AI suggestions. These are the list that you're not using. Of course, these are the users that are going to be deactivated or that should be deactivated. I don't like some of the suggestions that HubSpot put there because I don't think they're accurate. But again, if the AI, and I would love also to be able in a future, HubSpot, if you're listening, I would love to be able as an admin to train the AI about the suggestions that the tool may give. Because right now, who trained the AI in HubSpot? That's a good question. So who is
Yeah.
giving those suggestions? But what about if I could train the AI in a way, the internal HubSpot AI, so that the suggestions that are given in the tool are super accurate and super relevant for a business?
Yep.
So I think maybe in the future we will get there. But again, now as super admins, we have a lot more information, a lot more things that maybe in the past we didn't consider, maybe we didn't know, maybe we didn't have the time. But now we can do it. We can do it faster. We can have more eyes. Let's just remember what is the goal of AI. It's not replacing us. It's just helping us achieve or arrive at places where in the past we couldn't even have the physical time or eyes or maybe the knowledge to be aware of all those things. So let's just try to use it that way. Yeah. So okay, some things could not be relevant or could not have value for us,
Right.
but some other things does. Some
And
other things, for
yeah,
example,
and I
yeah.
brought this up because, like, as far as like what has trained HubSpot AI like so far, HubSpot Breeze, right? And what is behind this, right? Here are the most commonly used standard objects for business strategy and operations. This is based on HubSpot's customer base and how people use HubSpot. And
Yes.
when you take a step back and you know that 80% of the customer base is SaaS and primarily marketing hub, like professional and enterprise, that's before Breeze, like when you just turn on Breeze, right? You're like, okay, I'm ready to use AI. It has not been learning from your business yet, right? And your interactions with it. That's why I strongly urge like prompt libraries, like they just get you started, but it's not a one and done. Like you got to figure out how to have conversations because every time I pulled up an assistant in the portals, right? It never like, all right, it's starting to add Commerce Hub. So thank you. Thank you, Breeze. But it's not that it doesn't see it, right? It's that, and I talked to Dylan about this, like it's trying to give you the predicted, like it's trying to predict the answer that you want. And it can only do that based on its training. So if you haven't been the one training it yet, it's not gonna, it sometimes won't predict the most relevant answers to you, but
But
it
how are
gets
you
very
going to
good very
and how are
quickly.
you going to train something if you don't even know how to explain it?
Right.
So again, the first step for super admins is learn how to prompt. I know that people don't like to do it. I know like it gets frustrating. I know that sometimes we don't know and we just are lazy because I've been there. I don't like it. I just do it, but I don't like it. But eventually it gets more natural to you. So I was there 1 year ago and I felt all the same pain. I was annoyed. I didn't understand. I didn't get the results that I wanted. But okay, I kept practicing. I, I, I said, okay, this is going to be a reality. I need to master this. So I kept training. I kept trying. I kept doing different things. I kept getting different results. Of course, I got wrong results. So it's not easy. It's not something that is going to appear magically in your brain and it's going to become naturally perfect for you unless you don't try. So we need to start. We need to learn how to prompt, and we need to understand again how AI is going to work in HubSpot. Prompting is going to be a big part of what we do as admins to configure anything, to do a landing page with AI, to do an agent. Agents are going to be a little bit more complex. Yes, are a little bit more complex. But again, if you don't start, and I think that we mentioned in the past that we have that badge of free credits that we get every month with our accounts, depending on the license level, use it for testing. So right now, the new scenario for super admins is identify use cases to apply AI, discover the processes that could implement AI, try to understand and try to match with the more than 200 tools that we now have, try to choose or deliver with someone else, brainstorm with someone else to try to understand which of those tools is going to be the best and test it. And
Yeah.
once you know, and once you get the results, you can build your internal case. And I think we discussed this last time, but you can build your internal case to know, okay, these are the amount of credits that I assume this could consume every month. These are the amount of credits that I would like to purchase every month to maintain this and keep using this. And each time with each use case, you will get faster. So, yeah, I know that it takes only 5 minutes to set up an agent, but once you know what you're doing, the first time is going to take you at least 2 hours. It's not going to take you 5 minutes. But,
Well,
well,
I
that's
think
part.
that's where the message from HubSpot and people around us are like setup is easy because, and I think
Yes.
that's important because anybody can click on here and then, prompt library and then, craft LinkedIn article, right? And this is why I struggle with like prompt libraries. right? Because it'll get you um, to an output very quickly. But then if you don't understand what that output is, that's when the real setup happens. Like, I think to Lucy's point, it's like, it's not, the outcome is not trusted. It's not like, you cannot just say, okay, somebody else did the prompt engineering for me, right? So I don't have to worry about that. I can just give these prompts, and then whatever the response is, we're going to work with that, instead of like understanding that output, because that's really the fastest way to start to understand what Breeze knows about your business, what AI sees and doesn't see. And that's where I like to, instead of thinking about it as like prompt, like, you have to allow yourself to have a conversation, because when it doesn't make sense to you, you can just say, this output doesn't make sense to me. And it will start to tell you why it's giving that output, what it was looking at, what part of the prompts it used to try and understand what you were trying to get to. And that, I think, is going to be an underrated skill. And I think it moves closer to context engineering, where if you don't know how the portal's set up, or how your data is flowing or not flowing, or being duplicated or not, which users are using which parts of the system, you'll get yourself in a lot of trouble, like just trusting what Breeze is giving you at that point. Yeah.
Yes, and you know what I've noticed too with prompting? Prompting is the best reflection of the lack of internal knowledge. When you don't know, it's like when you ask a client, can you give me a brief of a campaign? Yeah, I want to sell more. One line. Me,
Okay. Here's our sell more onboarding package.
as an agency, I cannot do anything with that.
Yeah.
Imagine the AI. AI is not magic. It's not going to read your mind, not yet, until we have the casket here with everything connecting to our brains. So, one thing is, I started trying, and I got the suggestion from my husband, and I hated it because I hate him to be right. But But what he started doing a while ago is starting using like audio pen and those apps where you speak and they translate everything into, they do the transcript.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, so maybe I was lazy writing, but it wasn't that I didn't know what I wanted to explain. Okay. So once I started also talking to the phone or to any tool that you want that you can dictate and they transcript, my prompts are starting to become longer and better because I started talking naturally. Okay, I wanted to do this, but have
Yes.
in mind this, this, and this, but I don't want it to do this. So just try to avoid or to filter these cases and try to do that because the goal is da da da. So all of that natural language that you have, that is what you need to start using in your prompts. Don't
Yeah.
try to save words, save space. There is no, well, there is limitation in the amount of characters, but you can polish that later. But use the phone to, or any tool to speak freely and try to explain as much as you can of the situation and the thing that you want to do. That is the way the AI and the prompts help the tool learn, because the less you explain, the less it's gonna know, and the more assumptions it's gonna take, and the more errors you're gonna get.
Yep. And this
So
is why I always try to help. If you can just understand how the system like works, right? And what we're talking about here, and why AI is such a revelation, and in terms of how we interact with software interfaces. Like, software interfaces are a representation of code, like underneath, that is trying to be built in a way where the code can receive your information, and then give you an output that it thinks you want, um, or that you have told it that you want. Everything is super prescriptive, right? Versus natural language and being conversational. And if you could just those words, like, natural language, code, right? They're opposites. Like literally code is something that, we're trying to tell the robots like what natural language is over time. And that's where I'm at a point where, even for, vibe coding, like, and why they are built the way they are, like, I don't want to learn how to code like at all. And like, the more I can just talk to the thing, like, that's what you don't have to put yourself through filters, try to actually figure out what you think the system wants. You just say, as Lucy said, you just say it how you would say it. And when you can do that, it learns how you say things. And it just gets easier and easier over time. And if you're preventing yourself, like, this is where, when you think about a lot of marketing, trying to, figure out what the message needs to be, like, internally before you put it out in front of the market, could be learning about your product and learning about your message, and then telling you back, giving you learning about what they think about your message. That's what's happening here with AI. Like, the more you interact with Breeze, the more you interact with HubSpot now, the more it learns, the more it does better, like, for you.
And can I ask you, if we're thinking about, we're gonna use only three teams: marketing, sales, and customer success, or customer support, if you want. How would you rank them? First, the ones that are going to adapt faster to this AI world, and in the bottom, the last ones. What do you think?
Overall, sales will be last, except for the cases where they're trying to generate leads or prospecting. In that case, they have been first, unfortunately. I think the use of customer agent throughout the ecosystem is very indicative of the team that successfully uses it first, and that's customer service and customer success, because it is like transactional in that we have a knowledge base article, we have very black and white things. We're not trying to predict behavior, we're not trying to forecast things. We're being very reactive, and that gives us a lot of data. So I think that team is number one. And that's also been the place, I think, arguably, that's like been the worst at digital adoption and speed and scale required to handle all these customers interacting with you digitally. And marketing, oh man, the Loop marketing framework, the playbook, like, it's, if your marketing team and your marketing org owns all of the communication for the organization, which I would argue they should, like, internal and external, like, they're the messaging experts, all the things that you want, that, like, they should own communication, like, throughout the org, throughout the life cycle, making sure it's on brand and consistent, and everybody has the tools they need to do that. Then Loop marketing as a playbook makes sense, because it's not just for top of funnel, like, it's through the whole life cycle, right? So again, like, organizationally, in those organizations, marketing is first, like, because they have to, like, to reach this kind of scale and this level of personal, not just personalized, but personal to every person that the company is interacting with. Like, marketing is, by far in the best position to understand all the tools. But I also think, like, my advice to smaller teams is to stop siloing, like, these groups. Like, we've got to find a way to get to one customer team where all customer facing teams work together, are incentivized together, and AI can fill all those administrative gaps now to help that team. And I think Clay has done this to some extent with the GTM engineer concept. where they don't hire people based on their sales skills or their marketing skills, or they hire them based on their customer skills. How well do they know the problem, and how well can they interact with customers to solve it? And that's full funnel account management, which is where it's a struggle that HubSpot's business model has to work this way. Somebody brought up a great thing on the admin hug on Tuesday. We've got 2 new seats, Smart CRM and Commerce Hub. And somebody asked a question: what happens when there is a full funnel account manager? Do they have to have 4 different seats for one user now? I anticipate there might be a 1 seat to rule them all, sometime next year, because that's a real question. And when you have to be managing just multiple layers of seats for the same user, it just starts to inherently not feel right, in my opinion. But yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there. I think the moral of the story is everything gets easier to understand and to implement, in my opinion, when you can break down the silos and think of customer facing org, product org, and then operations.
Yeah, I think that we can touch the seats thing in a minute. What I've been seeing so far in customers, I see customer success teams first because they are the ones more used to be more flexible for the sake of solving for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So they are more flexible about the things that they can or cannot do with AI, or more flexible to have new dimensions of information. They're more open to that. I don't mean technologically, maybe they could be a little bit behind, but thinking about it strategically, that the way we started the conversation today, I think they are more flexible. In the middle, I see marketing because they are more stubborn, and marketing is very used to be working the same way for the past 15 years. I do ads, I go to a landing, I complete a form, I send emails in and nurturing. And that's it. And I do remarketing. No, that's not the way.
Yeah.
So breaking that way of thinking is going to take a little bit longer because they're very used to be doing that. They think that still works. And that is what we need to be changing now, because the whole dynamic with AI has changed. And last, sadly, are the sales teams.
Yeah.
And that's the most scary part, because the sales teams used to be the ones running the companies. And if you can think that the sales teams are going to be the last ones adapting to AI, what are you putting your company in the hands of?
Yeah. And I've given feedback to HubSpot, the words that we use to describe the things. When they told me about a closing agent, I was just oh my gosh,
closing what?
that's what the sales team prides themselves on. And you're gonna no, call it revenue agent or anything else that's not closing agent, because if they think they're important to any part of the process, it's that part, right? That's what they've been taught, and that's what we've loved them for a long time, is that people like me, I don't like to sell, I don't like to put the press on people. We need closers, right? People that can create revenue in ways that others can't. But in reality, having something like a closing agent alongside your best salespeople is going to do amazing things, because it just is there to handle all of the little questions that will get in the way, right? And there's always this conversation with salespeople that's oh, well, I use those moments to keep the relationship going. And it's there's so much other value that you could be adding to that relationship. Anyways, but it's interesting that how you described it. If we think about customer success, that's where all of the metrics that team is incentivized on and thinking about every day, almost all of them are customer focused. Obviously, they're in customer success. So when you think about the other two teams, most of those metrics, not customer focused. They're like, how many leads are we generating? How many leads are qualified? How many things are getting handed to the sales team? How fast are we closing deals? Not how fast are customers buying things, right? And that's where I see a struggle with teams, like starting at that KPI level, that compensation level. That, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, like AI is not having any of that, because none of that makes sense in terms of, you say you want to be customer focused, but then there's all these internal process metrics. Like I look forward to the day next year where Breeze and all these agents start saying like, no, what? Like, no, yeah, you could do that thing, but that doesn't make any sense because you said you have this goal. There's these goals documented in the rest of the portal. Like, this is the behavior of everybody. Like, what you want doesn't make sense, so we're not doing it.
I would love to see that. I will capture the screenshots of that.
Right.
No, I'm
Well,
not gonna do that.
yeah. No, and
It should be called the Lucy agent. No,
there we
I'm
go.
not gonna do that.
Yep. We'll just, it'll be coaching for now. I do love, there's so many of these that are coaching, like recommendations. There's a bunch of stuff in help desk, showing up to help with that kind of thing. And that's where every organization has gaps when it comes to coaching and training and mentorship. And if AI can deliver those insights that now your humans can use to have, much better conversations with each other, it's so powerful, right? But we're going to have to get out of our own way a little bit and do things a little bit differently.
Yes, and I think that coming back a little bit about, you asked me what would change also in the boot camp. And I think that we really saw this change now with all of these last updates. Is that for the past 2 years that we've been giving the bootcamp, we have said that the mentality was no hubs, one CRM. But that wasn't really true because we still had marketing hub, sales hub, service hub. We still do. But I think that we are approaching to that point where we are starting to see the CRM as a whole, and with the credit based criteria going on, I think we will start to forget about hubs and we'll start to concentrate only in the tools that we use. So the CRM seat is started as a pilot test of having one seat for all. So I don't think, because I haven't discussed it yet with OPDM, I don't think that the CRM seat is going to replace any of the others. I think I will believe, or I will hope in the future, that we will all get one same CRM seat with different permissions to access the sales tools or the more marketing tools, and based on credits. That's it. That's going to be, I believe that we could get there in the near future with that model, having one CRM with no hubs, really with no hubs, with tools available for all teams at any point in the process, in the lifecycle stage, in the journey. I think that is really thinking about AI first and really thinking about integration in companies.
Yeah.
Because if we still think that the sales team is only going to work in Sales Hub with their sales seat, with marketing team only in Marketing Hub, who says that surveys is customer success? Who says it? So
Yeah.
those are the things that still doesn't have much sense.
Right.
And I believe that they're going to change once we unlock the
Yeah.
hubs, once we flow freely among hubs and tools, and we just pay for the seats for the people that are really working in the CRM, and for
Yeah.
the credits for the things that we consume. I think that would be the greatest idea in the future.
Yeah.
Last year, when we discussed this, we thought this was crazy and this was a moonshot. And I think right now we are not so far away of that.
Some people did. Yeah.
But we're not so far away. So I think
Right. Well, I
We
think
will get
customer
there.
agent itself was a
It
great
started.
precedent that I was so excited about because when it first comes out, it's called customer agent and it's locked in
Yes.
Service Hub. Like, God, are we gonna do this all over again with agents?
Yes.
Like,
I
and
don't
then
like I don't like what they did with the customer agent. I don't like it that it started as a customer agent tool or agent, let's just say, and then but this is good for prospecting. And this is good for marketing. And okay, let's just do everything. No, it's
yeah,
like putting a restaurant that you sell sushi, pasta, hamburgers. No, you cannot
right,
make it do everything. So,
right,
but well, okay, A for effort. I still like it. I still
right.
think it's useful, but I think that they break the idea of what why that agent was created for. But well, it was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
It's still a test, so
I think it was, it was also, again, we come back to it. It was the first adopted. It was the first like had huge adoption.
yes,
Also, it probably trained so much faster than everything else because of that. And it's working with like knowledge bases and things like where data exists and it's structured. And there's just all these reasons. And it would have been probably more like now we have the three agents that are, you know, that cost. Uh, and that is customer agent.
prospecting.
Um, let's see, customer agent, prospecting agent, and data agent, right? If if prospecting agent had been announced as at the same time as customer agent, like then it's like, okay, we're not using customer agents like for this prospecting activity. So I definitely get what you're saying,
Yes.
where we had built this use case for customer agent, and it's like, oh no, we could have way more people using this, so let's just open it up.
But why don't we change the name? Also, data agents. The first time I saw the data agent, I was saying, oh, okay, an agent that is going to help me clean up the data, not that is going to go and research for data. So, okay, expectations about the namings. Hey guys, we can do a voting on how are we going to call the things. Or let's just unlock changing the names of the agents as we did with the objects
Yeah, yeah, and just
and put the name that we want.
as we wrap today, we were right about one thing, and that's as long as this beta tag is here, it will not cost credits.
Yes.
As far as the agents are concerned, once you lose the beta tag, expect all of them to cost credits of some sort, right? Luckily, we've got like 20 some agents now. So there's lots that you get to play with that don't cost credits, but these three, uh, they do. They cost different kinds of credits in different situations. So just we all know that it's a challenging paradigm, the paradigm of credits and credit usage. So there's a lot of people, I've seen a lot of great content about explaining this, and we're pretty much we'll be used to it by the end of the year maybe. But don't let it stop you from using these things if it's strategically important to the business, if it can add value, like um
Yes. And just to wrap up, I think that, as I say in the article, if you're not adopting AI in the next 2 years, you're going to be left out of the market. And you can see that not only out of the market, but in our internal world, you're going to be left out of HubSpot because HubSpot is moving that direction. So you need to start understanding how to use AI if you want to still take advantage of the CRM. So if you choose, okay, this is not for me, and you want to go use another platform, okay, that's okay. HubSpot is not gonna like it, but that's okay. That at least is more sincere for yourself, right?
yeah,
But if you really want to start doing a difference, and if you really want to embrace the new reality, you need to start understanding how the CRM is changing, what this means for your teams, for your processes, and start that race up the ladder. Because if not, you're already late if you didn't start it, but okay, you can still catch up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
next year we cannot. We maybe we are not going to be able to say the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Lucy says 2 years. I think she's being nice. I give you 3 to 6 months. And it's because things like this are easily accessible. You hear every day at this point these reactions like, oh, it's that easy, or oh, I didn't know it worked like that. And that's all it takes for people to start trying this stuff. And once they start trying it, they start learning it, the system learns from it. That HubSpot team's not done developing, right? They're going to keep going as fast as possible to support this change.
yes,
Um, and it is in an effort to put us all in a better position to leverage AI. I mean, when you look at all the agents, like when you go to the marketplace and look at agents, it's most of the agents are for things that we've not been great at, like account handoffs, right? Like those things
yeah,
humans have not been the best at. So luckily they have all the data, and they probably just asked AI at some point, like, tell us all the use cases to start with. And it's
yeah,
like, okay, this is all the place where data sucks, right? And here's where you start. So if you can see that and accept that, then like, okay, maybe you don't need to learn that 10th thing on your list. If you've never been good at mapping your data, now you have assistant like help with that, with some of that load. That's why I just get into this. Just take a look at the Breeze Studio and the agents that are available, and just look at the use cases, even if you don't click on them. Understand all of the different use cases, and if there's any that are on your list or your organization's list that you haven't gotten to, right? It's closer to you than it's ever been before, right? And just if that's what starts the conversation, that's what we're asking here. You got to consider this stuff as a part of your HubSpot strategy. Thanks for going along with me today, Lucy. This was a fun topic.
yeah. I think
Exciting
we will
times.
continue.
Yeah, exciting times, and we'll be doing more content around this stuff. Really excited to get your commentary of what's happening in the Super Admin Bootcamp in this really pivotal moment of HubSpot history. So appreciate you helping to lead the way with all those admins out there. And yeah, we'll see you back here in a couple weeks, eh?
Yes, we'll see how it goes. I will let you know next time.
All righty. Have a great day, everybody. See you next time.
Bye bye.